What is up, everybody? Welcome back. My name is Brandon Osborne, aka Control for Days, and today we are not in Dr. Yawgmoth's clinic. We are doing something completely different. We are yogging on a budget. Today I'm going to take you through an entire modern league with black-green Yawgmoth, except there's a stipulation to today's league. We are running a list that you can get on Manatraders for the lowest subscription level. So this list goes for like 125 ticks on Magic Online, and if you're going to purchase it in paper, you could get the entire list for about $300-ish. And you can actually get a better list than this on Magic Online, but I was trying to keep it, or you can get a better list for that 125 ticks amount, but I was trying to keep it as low as possible. So if you did want to port it over to a paper deck, you could do so for an inexpensive amount. I want to go over the deck list first and foremost, and then we'll jump into a league match and see how it goes. So main deck, there's some considerations in terms of cost where we're swapping certain cards out for others. Birds of Paradise we're swapping out for 2 Elvish Mystic and a Gilded Goose. On Moto, Birds of Paradise are really cheap, but I cut them because of paper considerations. The rest of our 1-drops, Ignoble Hierarchs and Young Wolves, those are kind of non-negotiable. You need them in the deck for it to be able to function properly. You'll notice we have another 1-drop, which is Oath of Nissa. Oath is a substitution for Eldritch Evolution. So we've cut the evolutions, we've brought in Oath of Nissa as an attempt to get ourselves a value creature and kind of fix our draws so we're working in the direction that we want. Eldritch Evolution is not a super expensive card, but to try to keep the cost as low as possible, I swapped one out for the other. Looking at our 2-drops, not too much different. It's pretty standard. I'm swapping out a Blood Artist for Zulaport Cutthroat. We'll talk about that a little bit when it comes to the mana base, and just cost Blood Artist like a $4 or $5 card, Cutthroat maybe $1, so trying to save a little bit of money there. The big cost savings comes at the 3-drop slot. We are not running any Endurance in this 75. We are running 4 Cemetery Prowler. I'm running 3 in the main deck, 1 in the sideboard. And this card, I think it's a strong card. It's just not as good as Endurance. You can't flash it in at instant speed. But I want some interaction with the graveyard, and this is just it's a decent value card with a body attached to it. So we're running 4 of those guys instead of Endurances. Obviously, we need Grist in the deck, we need Yawgmoth, we need Court of Calling. Those stay the same. The mana base is where a majority of the cost savings occur. We are not running any fetch lands in this list, and that is intentional because fetch lands are kind of expensive. So we're going up in count on basics, up in count on Blooming Marsh. Because we're not running any fetch lands, we're not running a Dryad Arbor. So I'm running 2 Colony Gardens. No Nurturing Peatlands. We're running Landlore Wastes instead. Pretty similar in terms of mana fixing, you just don't have the card draw associated with it. We're running a Takenuma instead of an Urborg. 2 Twilight Mirrors, which I anticipate will be a superstar when it comes to our mana base. That's going to help to fix our mana. And the other card, which some people run in the regular list, we're running it in this list today, is a Pendelhaven. Which is another reason why the Zulaport Cutthroat is in the list. Looking at the sideboard, we are swapping out Crime Punishments for Fatal Pushes. We are adding an extra Necromentia because we're not running Thoughtseizes, and we're running a Brain Maggot as well. I don't have high expectations for this card, but I wanted another source of discard, so we're going to give it a try. It's a 2 discard effect. Nature's Claims instead of Force of Vigors. I talked about Cemetery Prowler already. Running Kitchen Finks as our life gain. Culling Ritual as our board wipe. So that's kind of instead of Force of Vigor and or Crime Punishment as well. And then we're having some fun. We're running a Wilt Leaf Liege, which is, it kind of serves the same purpose when it comes to like discard effect as a Bailoff. But I'm hoping I can just flash this in out of nowhere with like a Court of Calling and just get wins, free wins against decks that aren't expecting it. So that is our 75. I'm curious to hear what you think. I'm curious to hear if you have any cards that you think would be good in a budget list that I did not include, or things you would do different with regards to your list if you're yogging on a budget. So let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think with regards to a list, if there are any cards I forgot or any things you would change. Without further ado, let's get into our first league match. What is up, guys? We are back. This is going to be our technically second match of the league. First match, we actually got paired against the same opponent, got disconnected, and weren't able to finish the match in game 3. So if they're playing the same thing, you'll get to see what hopefully transpired after the first game. So I am on the play. I'm going to play first, and we will go from there. Alright, so opening 7 I think is fine. We will keep this hand and see what happens. When we played against them before, they were on like an Urza Thopter Sword deck. So we will assume that's what they're doing again. And I don't have my stops on, and I almost just clicked through my turn. I had to uninstall Magic Online and reinstall it because I was having so many problems with the program. So hopefully this works smoothly now, and it looks like it's working much better than what it was. So fingers crossed. Alright, so they're playing a different deck. Turn 1 Utopia Sprawl. Alright, we're going to play our Wall of Roots out, develop our mana base a little bit, and then pass the turn. This affords us the ability to be able to chord as well on a future turn, so it'll help us build out our board state. Looks like they might be playing like playing Enchantress, which I think we should be okay against. So the unfortunate part about this list, I guess it's a mistake in construction. I should have a Dryad Arbor in this list. I don't. I forgot about the line of being able to chord for 0. I just completely, deck building error. And they're kind of going off, kind of, sort of. Got 6 cards in hand. See if we're able to do anything this game. We're short on mana, but we're kind of close to going off. We'll goose into. I wonder if we go Zulaport here. And then chord. No, I think we can get Geist. Swing. I think it's fine if we swing with both of these guys. And then next turn, EOT will get ourselves a Wolf. And then we'll cast the Zulaport and try to kill them, assuming that they can't deal with what we're doing. Okay, so Sterling Grove number 2. So their enchantments are super protected now. As long as we get another turn, we should have the win here. So Zulaport, it's funny that we're running Zulaport as opposed to Blood Artist. Zulaport will actually get around this, which is hilarious. So we are lucking out here with regards to just the way our deck is built. It's kind of funny. laughing a little bit because normally I wouldn't be running a Zulaport, but we are today. I wonder if our opponent sees the writing on the wall here. There's 7. We have ourselves a Yawgmoth, and they will die here. All right, we're up a game. Budget Yawgmoth gets there. All right, game 2. They have a ton of 2-drops in the deck. We didn't really see any that game. We mostly saw 1-drops, but I think Culling Ritual is good enough. Brain Maggot. I don't think that does it. I think we're just going to bring in these 5. Let me change my settings here so you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, we're going to get rid of Scavenging Ooze. Probably get rid of a Wolf. Some number of walls. I don't think Prowler's very good either. Prowler's kind of slow on the draw. Maybe we'll keep Wolf and get rid of... I'm kind of freestyling this. Oath of Nissa I don't think is great either. Just underwhelming. I'm anticipating they're going to have Rest in Peace and probably Leyline in the deck post board. Maybe not Leyline. Maybe they will. We'll see. Not having access to Crime Punishment is probably going to make this a lot harder than it normally would be, but we'll see what happens here. All right, we are back for game 2. We have Interaction, so I am going to keep this. I don't know if it's actually good or not, but we'll try it. Nature's Claim feels very underwhelming when compared to Crime Punishment or Force of Vigor. So they have a Leyline, which we kind of expected. Alright, Forest and Pass. Alright, second Nature's Claim. It's kind of like a Force of Vigor, right? Opponent gains 8 life, you spend 2 mana, and you get to destroy 2 artifacts or enchantments. It's close to the same thing. We'll shock here and play out our Young Wolf and pass the turn. Oh, they don't have a second land. Interesting. Alright. I think we'll lead with an attack. And we'll play out our Oath. See if we can find something. There is a Yawgmoth. We're short on mana, but I think that's the guy we want. In general, that's the guy we usually want. Okay, draw a card. Let's see if they hit their next land drop. So that was their draw for turn, the Abundant Growth. They do not hit a land. And I wonder if I just get rid of the Abundant Growth. Probably not. I don't think so. Okay, so here I could play out Hierarch, leave up Nature's Claim, and play out Yawg next turn. Or I can play the Prowler, which doesn't really get me a ton of value, it just puts a clock on them, or the Grist, which also doesn't get me a ton of value. I think I like leaving up Nature's Claim and having the Hierarch. So we'll see if we get rewarded for this or not. Like if they play out something like a Rest in Peace, I think we get rewarded pretty heftily for this play. As opposed to them not doing anything. Okay, on thin ice. Yeah, so I think this works out for us. We'll get rid of our wolf. We're going to Nature's Claim that and step. It's interesting they chose the wolf there as opposed to the the hierarch. I feel like the hierarch was probably the better card to take there. Not a whole lot going on. I feel like if they don't hit their land drop, they're going to scoop. All right, we got there. So we are 1-0-ish with this list up to this point. Let's jump into game 2, or round 2. All right, we are jumping into our second round that we're actually playing the whole thing of. Technically, this is round 3 of this league. Scorpionsaunt is our opponent. This hand is great. We have a turn 2 Grist. We have Yawg and 2 Undying Creatures. This has everything we would want. Our opponent is on 6 cards. Everything minus another land, but you know, what can you do? See how this one pans out. It'd be really interesting if this is actually viable, if you could have a budget version that's probably close to 1/3 of the price of the actual version of the deck and still be competitive. That would be pretty cool. You know, it would be nice to have people have the ability to get into the format without having to break the bank, so to speak. Looks like we might be playing a mirror match here. We'll see if Budget Yawg beats real... No, okay. Maybe like a rock style deck. I think they probably take the Mystic here. We'll see. I think that's probably the best call because unless they have removal in their hand. Probably a little perplexed looking at what we're doing here. Like, why would you have an Elvish Mystic over a Birds of Paradise when they're the same exact cost on Moto? If only that were real life. If only. So this could be like a Shadow Traverse style deck. Could just be like Jund. Could be Black-Green Reclaimer. It could be Yawgmoth. There's a potential that it could be that. I've seen some lists more recently running Thoughtseizes in the main deck, so it's possible. Alright, take Yawgmoth. I'm happy with that. We're going to lead out with our Mystic. Hopefully it doesn't die, and then we will pass the turn. We'll see if we get a turn 2 Grist here. If they leave with like another discard spell, that would be good due to the redundancy of our hand here. Jund, maybe? Tarmogoyf. Okay, cool. Tarmogoyf, not that big a deal as it stands. Maybe the play here is to build out our board state a little bit and then play out Grist next turn. Let's see. Kind of like Innkeeper here. Let's take the Innkeeper and we'll just put those on the bottom. Then we're going to play out a Wolf as well. So in this matchup, I feel like having access to Cemetery Prowler is actually going to be pretty good. Once again, I don't know if it's going to be as good as Endurance, but Cemetery Prowler against a deck that really feeds off its graveyard a lot of synergies with the graveyard. I think that's going to be pretty good. Is this a Liliana? It is a Liliana. It's fine by me. Okay. Yeah, we'll sacrifice our Yawgmoth here. Not a big deal. Regain a life. It's combo. There's the Prowler. I think Grist is the play here. And they only have 2 cards in hand, so I'm not really too concerned about what they're doing. I'm going to make a token. I could swing down the Liliana this turn. Maybe that was the right play. Yeah, that might have been right. Sacrifice the Innkeeper, kill the Liliana, but I think we're alright here. So the question is, if they uptick the Liliana, what do we discard? And I think we get rid of the Yawgmoth. Just want to have a backup Grist just in case they're able to get rid of this one, just because it's going to be such a house in this matchup. Okay, I think we're going to dump the Yawgmoth. They have 2 cards in hand. Let's see what they do from here. We sit and wait. Swinging at our Grist, we will block with our Insect here. I'm guessing maybe they have like another Tarmogoyf or something like that. We shall see. Opponent is taking their time. Okay, and they do nothing. So we're thinking maybe there is a Kolaghan's command lurking here. I think we're going to lead with an attack. We're going to swing with the Yawgmoth and see what happens. Okay, so we got rid of the Liliana. The Tarmogoyf grows a little bit. Not too big of a deal. We're going to eat the Liliana with the Prowler, I think. Okay, and they're making us discard a card, which is fine. I think we'll discard Grist. And we'll play out the Prowler here. And I think I'm going to actually eat a creature because it'll allow us to play out the other Prowler. Prowler actually triggers with every single attack, so we'll be able to keep eating away at the graveyard, depending on what they do. Land tapped. I don't think they can attack here, but I don't think they're really... I mean, we can just down-tick our Grist and kill the Goyf. So I don't think they're in a very good spot. I think they're in trouble. Prowler actually has Vigilance too, which is really interesting. Block with our token. Playing something else out. Another Liliana. Liliana's dying. We're going to sacrifice a creature. We'll sacrifice the Yawgmoth. Alright, I think we're in pretty good shape here. We'll start with an uptick. We'll swing down Liliana. We'll eat the Culligan's Command because that's the only instant in the graveyard. Opponent is down to 9, and then we'll play out our other Prowler. And we'll eat the Thoughtseize, I think. So we're shrinking the Goyf little by little here. This card's actually been pretty good in this matchup. It's funny. It's not, once again, it's not a endurance, but it's been solid. Alright, Bloodbraid Elf, they get themselves a Lightning Bolt. Doesn't really do too much. I mean, they can bolt down our insect and then swing, try to kill our Grist, but we just have another one in hand at this point, so it's really not a big deal. Alright, killing the Innkeeper, which is fine. Alright, drew our third land. So I think we down-tick Grist, kill the Goyf, bring the beats. My friends, we are back. I apologize, I got disconnected in the middle of that last match. We wound up winning the match 2-0, but you didn't see the end of the first game or the entire second game, unfortunately. But we got there. We're 2-0 with this list right now, this budget list. Maybe there's something to this. In that last match, Cemetery Prowler was really, really good. I was very impressed with it. All right, our opponent, YawgDog. Wonder what they're playing. We'll see. Mulligans to 6 cards. If they are on Yawgmoth, I don't know how good this hand is. I don't know what they're playing. Oath of Nissa we're leaning pretty heavy on. We'll try it and see if our Oath gets there. If they're actually on Yawg, though, this is probably a mulligan. They led on a basic forest. Oh, Hardened Scales. Okay, cool. This hand's actually really good against Hardened Scales, so this is good. The Kalani Garden actually puts in a pretty good amount of work in this matchup. Gives us an extra blocker, assuming they don't get Scales and Ballista into play. Inkmoth. hang our back. Okay, we're okay with this so far. So far things are okay. I'm gonna go Wall of Roots. I think I'm gonna go Oath here and look for a Yawgmoth, which we did not get. We'll take the Mystic. Definitely don't need more land right now. So, not ideal. Let's see how this goes. I feel like these are the matchups that this budget list will suffer against the most. Not having access to Crime, Punishment, and Force of Vigor, I feel like are pretty big for this deck. I think we're just going to develop our board a little bit more. Play out a Mystic, a Geist, and the Garden. And from here, if we draw a Yawgmoth, I think we're in pretty good shape. We should win, but we have, I think, a pretty limited window to do so, given the state of things on our opponent's side of the board. I wonder if we just die here. I think we just die. Didn't do the math, but I would assume so. Yeah, we're super dead. Super duper dead. Turn 4, pretty good. Okay, we have very little time to sideboard here. I'm not going to talk through it. I'm just going to get what I can. I'm not thinking here. I'm just acting. Submit. All right. Hopefully that's close enough to what we needed to do. I just clicked cards. That wasn't, I got disconnected and had about 10 seconds to sideboard, so we're making do. I don't know what this is. A forest, okay. Sand has a quick Yawgmoth, we'll keep it. It's good enough. Ultimately, you want a sideboard card or a fast Yawgmoth. Those are the game plans post-board against this strategy. So this hand curves out pretty nicely. We'll go 1 Prowler, 1 Hierarch, 2 Prowler, 3 Yawgmoth. So be able to work with it. Bunch of Blooming Marshes. Prowler's not going to hit anything this time around. That's fine. It's a pretty big body though. There's our forest. Our opponent is complimenting the Cemetery Prowler. Alright, they're running out of Welding Jar. They have a Nexus. And a Worker. And does a Baz. Okay. This could potentially be a little problematic. Let's see what happens here. I think Chord's a pretty good draw. Run out our 3rd Marsh. We'll attack. Play out Yawgmoth. We'll attack for 4. Once again, the vigilance is really nice here. It's a nice combo with Court of Calling as well. Might be onto something here. It synergizes decent with this this list, so. Next turn I think we get an Undying creature. We don't have Drolfs in the list because it's a little too pricey. Okay, they got themselves a land, and that works with Zabaz there, so we need to be conscious of that. There's a Hangerback. Creatures are starting to get a little scary. I think another Ignoble's pretty good. Play out the Hierarch. We'll swing for 5. Play out our land, and then we'll be able to I think we wind up just courting for like a Yawgmoth or something. It's probably the best card. See what they do here. Maybe it was right to court for the Yawgmoth main phase, as they might be able to do some shenanigans in response to everything. We'll see. There's the Yawgmoth. Activate the Zabaz. So I think there's going to be 2 triggers here. Wait, what just happened there? I'm confused. So they're regenerating this, but this isn't actually going to do what they want it to do because it's -1/-1, so that is unfortunate for them. And I think they're just going to die next turn. So our opponent is saying they didn't realize that's how regenerate works. So they lose their modular, and they scoop their cards up. Okay. Game 3. All right, so I wonder, let's rethink our strategy here now that we have a little more time. I think we want a Yawgmoth. I don't know if we want Prowlers as good as they were in that game. Or maybe we do and we don't want as many Grists. Finks might be decent. Fatal Push might be decent. Grist is probably better than Prowler. And I would say we shave a chord, but that's really the only way we have to find Yawgmoth here. So typically I'd probably prefer Evolution, but we don't have access to that, so we're going to stick with our chords. They're not pressuring our 1-drops, so I think we can shave on Wall of Roots as well. Maybe we'll bring in more Prowlers, as they're big bodies. Yeah. Goose might actually be relevant because it's flying as well. Maybe we go Goose over a Mystic and try that. See how this pans out. The all-important game 3 and our opening hand is not a keep. We will mulligan this. They mulliganed as well, which is good. Alright, this hand is not great. We're on the draw, but I think we're going to keep it and see how it goes. This might be too slow. I'm banking on this first draw step pretty hard here. Turn 1 Hardened scales every game. Pretty good. Alright, Pendelhaven's not bad. Lets us save ourselves the damage, and we get the turn 2 Prowler out, which is good. It's a big body. We got the Automaton. Ooh, Nature's Claim is really good. That's really, really good. Alright, so we're going to go Geist. We're going to swing with the Geist, I think. And we're going to hold our Nature's Claim to hit the scales when they cast something here. And the life off of Nature's Claim might be relevant here. We'll see. Alright, so they're going to pump that. Got multiple Pendelhavens on the board right now. There's a hanger back, and we're going to claim. That thing's a 3/4 now, which is fine. We'll actually be able to Prowler our Nature's Claim, and that will give us an extra mana to use with Chord of Calling, which is going to be nice. And Kalani's going to give us a blocker here. Yeah, so we can actually chord for 1 right now. We're not going to do that, but next turn we'll have a Yawgmoth in play, assuming they don't have like a Pithing Needle or something like that. Ravager's pretty good. Ravager's big. Because we got rid of the Hardened scales, though, I think we're okay. So if they had the scales still, we'd be in a lot of trouble. But they don't. Because of Nature's Claim. The new tech in Yawgmoth. So we have really good synergy here with the Prowler as well. We'll be able to swing him with the Prowler and then chord afterwards. And get a lot of value out of that. This thing has wards, so we need to be mindful of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So I think we can afford to take the hit here. We'll go down to 13. Not too worried. Our second Twilight Mirror. I imagine they're probably going to sacrifice a creature here. So if they activate the Hangerback Walker, I'm going to respond to this. I'm going to chord So that's currently 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're going to Yawgmoth. We're going to target the Ravager. And let it go from there. Okay, that's fine. So they're sacrificing the Walker to the Ravager, putting a 1/1 counter there, which is fine as well. This is an interesting play. Preventing us from drawing a card, they have a 6/6 in play, but they really don't have much else going on, so I don't know they're going to be able to recover from this one. We're going to block with our Geist. Do some shenanigans in combat here. All right, we take nothing. I think they're probably pretty close to dead here. This has worked out pretty well. Interesting. I was wondering what the groves were there for, but now it makes sense. Okay. All right, so we can go infinite now with our wolf and our Geist. So we'll start with an attack. Play out a young wolf. Let's start drawing some cards. Okay. All right, our opponent scooped. So we are 3-0 with this list right now. We'll go for the 4-0, which is kind of like a 5-0, and see what happens. All right, my friends, this is for the 4-0. We got disconnected the first match. We've won the next 3. This is the 4th match. We're going for 4 in a row here. Don't know what our opponent is playing. We are on the play, and we have no lands. Anticlimactic. All right. Our 6 is good. We'll keep our 6. Our opponent begins with 7. We'll get rid of the Forest or the Pendelhaven. Hope that they don't have a Blood Moon. We'll get rid of the Forest. Let's see what happens. All right. Pass the turn. Our opponent leads on a Botanical Sanctum, so we're thinking they're likely on Living End. Clearly on Living End. I just brain fart. Alright, so we will play out some of our dudes. Build out our board state a little bit here. Let's see what happens. It's unfortunate that we don't have access to Endurance, but we do have a Scavenging Ooze in the main deck, so that's something of note. Could potentially do stuff for us here. So we're going to play out the Pendelhaven. So we can get an ooze and eat one of their creatures as it currently stands. Let's see if they have it. All right, there's the land. It looks like they're waiting to go at instant speed. So the issue with this is if they have Force of Vigor, I think we have to play reactively. We can't make them All right, I think we just have to pass here. I think we're in a little bit of trouble. We'll see. I'm guessing they have some form of interaction, which is where we're going to get ourselves into a little bit of an issue. They got a lot of creatures in the graveyard here. A little bit of the draw go game. So I can chord, they cast Living End in response. Chord for 2, Living End in response. We get our Undying creatures back. And then Yawg on our turn. And then try to kill from there. I think that's the move. We'll see if it works. And we're going to chord for 2. We'll see how this pans out. Okay, hardcast a Force. That actually works out pretty well for us. We're going to lead with an attack. And so the best card they can have here is like a Subtlety. So we're hoping they don't have that. All right, Yawg sticks. See if we get there. I feel like even if we win this game post-board, this matchup's going to be a lot harder with us not having access to Endurance. It's going to make things very challenging. I don't think we played a land this turn, so if we get another land with the Innkeeper, we should just have the kill. There's a Scavenging Ooze. Okay, so there's our land. And from here, Innkeeper. And now we can just draw cards. And we'll sacrifice my Innkeeper there. That would have been bad. Double Prowler, not bad. We're looking for a chord to get our Zulaport Cutthroat. That's what we're looking for right now. And even if they cast a Living End, we're going to be able to bring back so many creatures from our graveyard. So so I'm really not too concerned about it at this point. It's a bunch of Grists. Another Colony Garden. Another Yawgmoth. Gilded Goose. Taking a lot of time here. All right, so we drew the Cutthroat. So I think here, do we have 2 Undying Creatures in our hand? No, but we'll have 2 after this. Okay, we'll just move to discard. This is fine. Didn't see a single Court of Calling there, and we drew about 20 cards, 25 cards. All right, so we're going to discard a bunch of creatures. Definitely a Grist, definitely a Yawgmoth, definitely a Hepatra. Discarding a lot of cards. So I guess if they have Endurance, could be problematic. I don't know if they actually play Endurance in the main deck or not. We shall see. Okay, here's the Shardless. Dump the Innkeeper. If this resolves now, oh my, oh my, look at all those triggers. I might have just broke my computer. There's a good chance. Good chance my computer's broken. This is crazy. Pretty crazy. see what they got. Alright, this is kind of funny. Trying to return our Yawgmoth to our hand. I think when they do this, this is kind of crazy. I have to make sure I don't deck myself here. Very relevant. Okay, we'll let them bounce our Yawgmoth here. And we will recast a Yawgmoth. This is taking a lot longer than I would have hoped for. I apologize for the lack of commentary. There's not really much to say. This is a pretty ridiculous board state here. Okay, they scooped. Thank you. Thank the God. Thank the Lord. Okay. Game 2. Bring in, I think we're going to bring in our Brain Maggot here. Let's see if this comes in handy. Prowler, Necromentia. I'm anticipating some number of ley lines, which could be problematic. Does this thing target a player? No, it does not. So that's actually pretty good. What are we shaving? Wall of Roots. Oath of Nissa seems to go out pretty much every match. Not very good. That was a crazy game. Hopefully we don't time out here. Mystic Goose isn't... Oh, Goose facilitates a turn 2 Necromentia, which is going to be necessary. Grist is fine. Geist doesn't really do anything. Because we don't have Endurance, maybe we just get rid of a Chord. It's probably reasonable. It's not as good as it would have been. Alright, so our opponent begins with 7 cards in hand. This hand doesn't really do anything, so we're going to mulligan. This hand, we don't have any lands. This hand also doesn't do anything. Alright, we'll keep this. 4 cards. Obviously you have to keep the ooze. I think it's probably... 3, 4. We'll see how this goes. Don't have very high expectations for this one. If we pull a Manadork off the top, that would be good. Four-card hand, not ideal. All right, we need them not to make their land drop or not to have a a cascade spell. If they do, I think we're pretty much just dead at this point. Waker, they got rid of a living end. No land? No land? Alright, they have a land. I think we lose. I think a 7/7 and a 4/4 are probably going to be good enough. Alright, I'm just going to scoop. We're going to go to game 3. That wasn't good. All right, we're back. Game 3, we got disconnected for a moment. We are going to be on the play. Hopefully we'll keep a 7-card hand here. We have a turn 3 Necromentia, so I think we have to keep this and hope that it's good enough. Otherwise, I don't know that this hand's gonna get there. We shall see. So if they have a grief or a force of vigor or a force of negation, they probably get us. All right. Bring the beats with our Geist. Fingers crossed, no force of negation. We haven't seen a ley line up to this point in 2 games. Discard the Waker. Gets them a little bit deeper into their deck. Dump another Waker. We shall see. Combat will swing, and the whole game hinges on whether or not this card resolves here. Does it resolve? So far, so good. I'm nervous. We got it. We got it. All right. Goodbye, Living End. All right, so they have we have to write these cards down because Necro doesn't do it for us. Agent, Sky Turtle, Island Tarn, Sanctum. Okay, and the turtle, I know they can discard it, return target card from your graveyard to your hand, creature to its owner's hand. The card's pretty good. I didn't really look through the whole deck there, but I think we should be okay. Okay, we're gonna lead on Ignoble, swing for 3. This is a crazy, crazy league, crazy match. Play out the Takanuma. Don't think I'm pronouncing that correctly, but that's okay. And we'll play our Grist. See if they subtlety this. I think there's a good chance they do. They dump their Shardless Agent. So they have Sky Turtle, Island, and Tarn. We're going to put Grist on the top. I think we have a pretty good turn next turn. I think they're ditching the Sky Turtle. Dump the Sky Turtle to bring Subtlety back to their hand. It's pretty cool. It's like a combo. So they have Subtlety, Tarn, and 2 unknowns. And they can actually cast the Subtlety this time. We'll hit for 3. It's feeling pretty good. I think we'll cast a Liberator. I could also just like not play into the Subtlety and then just have Cord up, which I think is what I'm going to do. If they want to cast Subtlety, that's fine. Maybe they have another one in hand. But they needed to do something, so. And then we have a Cord for a Yawgmoth if we want it. If we want it or need it. Our Liberator is going to be a 4/4 now, so we'll be able to swing through the Subtlety. Puts them down to 4. We're just going to play our Mire and pass the turn, and then we have instant speed Court of Calling for Yawgmoth here. Interesting. All right, I think we'll Cord here. All right, and they scooped. Budget Yawgmoth is good enough. That's 4-0 with the deck and 1 game where we got disconnected in game 3. This deck has legs. Even on a budget version, 125 ticks, you can build this deck and be competitive in the modern format. You don't need endurance, you don't need force of vigor to be able to compete. Obviously the cards help, but this deck felt really strong and did pretty well in spite of lacking those cards. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. This was something different. I wanted to give a try. I had this idea for a little while, so I wanted to see if it would pan out or not, and we went undefeated, so it's hard to argue against that. So this is Brandon Osborne, aka Control for Days. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, let me pull up the list here. If you have, hit the subscribe button, leave me a comment, thumbs up, tell me what you thought. I will, maybe I'll run this again sometime, maybe we'll upgrade it a little bit and see where it goes. So, with that being said, let me pull the sideboard over. With that being said, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I will catch you guys next time. Until then, I'll see you later.